Okay, so these idiots are back.
Vanguard. Oh, it's a fucking protest.
What is this? Bro, how many people are in there?
Dude, I'm about to honestly fucking move. I don't want these fuckers touching my car.
Dang, these guys are not playing around, bro. They hopped out of the U-Hauls. That's crazy. I have to tell you guys, this right is probably one of the worst psyops I think I've ever seen. However, I do think it's funny when they come across another group, that group being the Proud Boys, and one of these guys is getting their mask ripped off. Check it out. And even though these guys are back, I'm just curious, why in the hell are they back exactly outside the normal election fear mongering? Tells me something else is afoot. And there's also riots in France too, as you guys are seeing here in the B-roll footage. Now, I just figure I would toss this in, the stuff about France. I'll come back to it at the very end of the video. The reason why I wanted to toss this in here is because, unlike in France, here in the United States, they're going to want to create the illusion of something that went wrong after the election. Just simply saying, but we'll talk more about that towards the end of the video. But I want to go ahead and just kind of leave that little bit in as a bit of a nugget to expect more so towards the end. Now, with that right there being said, let's talk about Patriot Front and these really, really bad psyops that are being ran right now. So, yeah, it's that time, of course, and it's that time of the year because it's obviously an election year that we're going to be getting a lot of, we're going to be getting a lot of psyops and a lot of very, very strange levels of activity. Now, guys, I am putting some of the stuff here in the B-roll footage for you guys to see. And of course, I let some of this run a little bit longer than normal because obviously I want you guys to see exactly how crazy that it is. But the Patriot Front guys, who we've not talked about in a while, there's also the other group called Blood Tribe that I'm going to be kind of bringing up for reference anyways, just to be kind of doing it so that way you guys can kind of see exactly what kind of psyops are going on here. Yeah, they're back too. And of course, it's been a while since the Blood Tribe group showed up, but I just want to kind of go back in the past to kind of explain what's actually going on there. So these guys, Patriot Front, they showed up in Tennessee this past weekend. They also were in New Orleans too. And I find it very funny because getting out of a U-Haul or driving around in a U-Haul or in the back of a U-Haul is actually illegal. But yet they expect us to believe that this little group is organic, and of course it's not a psyop, it's nothing crazy, it's not feds, it's nothing like that. It just doesn't pass the smell test, if you ask me. It just seems to me like this is definitely a psyop, and obviously being done to kind of assert a certain narrative about a certain voter base. However, speaking of that group, Blood Tribe, it brings me back to this little moment when the whole thing was exposed.
Christopher, there's a presidential race going on right now. Are you going to vote in 2024? What do you think is going to happen?
My vote is useless. I think Biden's better than Trump because he sends rockets to Ukraine.
In support of Ukraine, you mean?
Hell Ukraine, hell Azov.
Slava Ukraina!
Tell me this.
Yeah, neo-Nazis in Ukraine. Okay, so you're probably wondering why this group is being talked about again. And of course, I've done a couple of videos on this group. And of course, they actually have a leader who recently went on with Patrick Bet David and had a good old-fashioned conversation and powwow with him. And I'll try to link it in the description box for you guys. But I'm going to go ahead and say right now, it doesn't seem to me like the boys at the PBD podcast, Value Entertainment, were convinced by these people's nonsense. But still, though, once again, here we are. Now, how in the world am I going to go from Patriot Front to Blood Tribe to Richard Spencer, of all people? Kind of a very weird thing to do, but there's a reason why I'm bringing up Spencer. You see, these people aren't really and truly that hard to sniff out. Once you actually look at their backgrounds, see who they are, see the kind of patterns that they normally run with, it's not that hard to kind of sniff them out. I want to use Richard Spencer, for example. I want to say it was a channel called Monolithic Ethos. I'll try to link the video. I could even be wrong about the actual channel itself. They had a video about Spencer, and it basically proved that Spencer was just a good old-fashioned grifter. He'd been grifting off movements for a long time. He went from liberalism to suddenly being a libertarian, hanging out with Ron Paul, which is probably the reason why it is that Ben Shapiro called Ron Paul white supremacist, anti-Semitic. But of course, he goes from there to then all of a sudden now he's a white supremacist or white nationalist, and then next thing you know, he gets interviewed by Dinesh D'Souza in his video on Death of a Nation. And of course, in that documentary piece, that movie he made, Death of a Nation, Richard Spencer reveals that he's actually very, very much a person who's more on the left than he is the right. I mean, the guy even endorsed Joe Biden back in 2020 rather than endorsing the former President Trump. Because if you guys remember correctly, when Trump was running in 2016, they tried to tie every single white supremacist they could to the Donald. And of course, one of those people that they tried to tie was Richard Spencer. Another one was David Duke. But of course, when you actually do your information on David Duke, you find out that David Duke was a part of the 2000 Reform Party. And Trump, of course, also was a part of that Reform Party too. Then he found out that David Duke was there, found out who he was, and then promptly left because Trump entertained a run at the presidency back in 2000. He also entertained a run at the presidency back in 2012, but still at the same time, though, these types of organizations, these types of groups tend to have some very surly, very nasty characters. People have known scumbaggery, and people have known not only just scumbaggery, but people of extremely questionable past, which I'm pretty sure is a big portion of what this Patriot Front group is. Liars, grifters, opportunists, that's what these people normally are. See, what they'll do is this here. The feds, they'll want to create an op, so therefore they will hire some people who are willing, pay them whatever, because they're normally people who aren't really working at the time, or people who can't find a job, or people who aren't making much money. They'll get them and they'll basically give them some lines and basically tell them to go out there and say what the hell it is they want them to say. That's pretty much what they do. That's how these PSYOPs work. Now, some people do go through a literal recruiting process. Some of these guys are probably ex-military, stuff like that. And of course, there was also an incident where the Patriot Front boys also got arrested. And I want to say it was right around 37 total got arrested. And of course, the mugshots were released, all that type of stuff there. The fact of the matter is this right here. Once you see that these guys here who are allowed to march near the Capitol, which, you do have freedom of assembly, freedom of speech in this country, but still, when they're allowed to do this, they record it, they post it to Twitter, they post it to all forms of social media. Then they turn right back around after that, and you see them getting out of a U-Haul, which is actually illegal. It's not hard to see that these people are, in fact, government employees, and they are, in fact, feds. Blood Tribe, on the other hand, they may actually be purely white supremacists. They may be pure, actual, literal Nazis. But as you guys obviously heard, the leader of that group, or at least the leader of that chapter, is showing you guys that they are all Biden supporters and not Trump voters, just simply saying. So if Blood Tribe was a PSYOP, then obviously it was not a PSYOP that was designed to make the Republican nominee look bad. If anything, it makes the liberal nominee or the Democrat nominee look bad. This right here all feeds the narrative. The narrative, of course, is white supremacy. We got to run on white supremacy. These guys right here are back out there doing the whole white supremacy shtick for a reason. Obviously, it's designed to get in the news. It's designed to get in the headlines. And also to go on top of that, it's designed to get the media to talk about it and get the media to tie it to anybody who's on the right of center side of aisle. I say right of center side of aisle because there's actually a lot of aisles when it comes to political ideology. The point is this right here. These people are designed. These PSYOPs are designed to make certain people think a certain thing. However, it does interest me why it is these people are in Tennessee. You see, normally what Patriot Front does, and you guys will see it and probably in one of the videos that I've done on them because I'll link it in the description box. One of the things that I've noticed about Patriot Front is that these guys aren't exactly what you call good at fighting. They show up to a location, they start something, and they normally get their asses whooped, like you guys obviously saw in the B-roll footage with the Proud Boys. These aren't exactly guys who are good at actually fighting. By the way, the Proud Boys, I want to go ahead and say this really quick. I don't really know much about them, but what I do know about the Proud Boys is this here. They're not known for starting fights. They're known more for finishing fights. It's not like Antifa, who normally starts fights, jumps people from behind, jumps old people in particular, but yet we've not seen them recently. I'm pretty sure that they will pop back up here soon in the future. Patriot Front is just another PSYOP of many other PSYOPs that's yet to come, a lot like what Blood Tribe is and like many, many other ones. And obviously, these PSYOPs are pretty daggone easy to see through. However, they do know how to make adjustments. Do you guys remember earlier there was some stuff I showed you guys in the B-roll footage? It looked like these guys had kind of sort of lost weight, got themselves in shape. Well, is it possible that maybe they might have heard Joe Rogan a while back when he pointed out the fact that these people were in fact, let me just go ahead and kind of roll this.
Fringe groups, and they were not aware that these people were this fucking organized. Out of nowhere, they pop out with the same size flags and the same outfit on, goose stepping. They're walking, not goose stepping, but walking right in this at the same pace in a fucking orderly line. Like who organized this?
This is them on their bus. I thought this was gonna turn into the video of them walking.
See the video of them walking. Is that the video of them walking?
Like these are linking to blog posts, so it's not gonna.
God, there's got to be a video of them walking. I know. I watched it. So here's it. Uniformed white nationalist group marches on Lincoln Memorial. CNN's all in. They're like, we're all in on this. Come on, show us. Look at these guys. Look at these guys. Where's the fat people? How come they're all wearing the same clothes? Do that again. What the fuck is this? Have you ever seen anything that looks more like feds?
Just a small bit there. Just figure I'd point that out. So these people do know that we know it's a psyop. I'm just simply going ahead and pointing that out. All right, but let's get back on track. Now, really quick. If you guys remember at the very beginning of the video, I think it was the third edited clip that I used, I brought up the riots in France after their elections. You see, a few weeks ago, Marine Le Pen's party won a bunch of seats, got basically control. Emmanuel Macron, he called for a revote, and of course, the far left ended up with a bunch of seats this past weekend. However, the thing is this right here, if you actually look at the makeup of their government right now, it's not like it's an absolute full-blown, full takeover. Yeah, the far left does have control of that government, but still at the same time, it's not like it was. They're saying it's a blowout, but it's not as big of a blow as you might would think, unlike in the case of England. But even in the case of England, with the Labour winning the way they did, they don't have like 50%. It's basically like they got a bunch of seats, but if the others get together and have a coalition, they could probably. It's basically going to be a good old-fashioned period of nothing getting done for a while. That's a video for another day, but still, the reason why it is that I brought that up and left as a bit of a nugget is to kind of explain to you guys there's going to be a lot of things going on here in this nation during the course of this year, in particular, especially it being an election year. However, it's not really so much the election year that you got to worry about. It's normally the year after, and this right is what I mean by this. You see, when you guys see these riots in France after elections, when you see riots in Europe and stuff like that, you're probably wondering yourself, it's probably on its way here. Well, let's go back to 2020. There were riots in 2020. There were riots in 2016. I want to say there were riots in 2014. I can't go through every single riot because, of course, most of these riots occur because, for whatever reason, some group of people, they always get upset when somebody gets shot by the police because when somebody says, put your hands up and freeze, they don't want to do that. And, of course, they typically tend to resist arrest. I'm just simply saying that's typically how these things normally start here in the United States. However, there is one thing that, quite frankly, people are, in fact, concerned about, and this is one of the reasons why it is we're doing this video, and, of course, it is the potential for color revolution. And this right here is where the true meat of the video is going to be, seeing how it is at the very, very end. I have my own little theory. I don't want to tease you guys with the theory of what I think is going to ultimately happen because obviously if you talk about 2020, if you talk about stuff like that, then obviously you're going to get a label on your videos. And you're probably wondering, what does this have to do with Patriot Front? Don't worry, I'll get to that right here in a second. I think that whatever is tried this year is probably not going to work because, as you guys can obviously see, everything this group of flunkies that's in charge touches turns to crap. However, the more and more I look at it, I'm starting to think to myself that maybe it's by design. Maybe these people are intentionally trying to fail. And, of course, one of the ways they would do this is that they would send a group out there like, say, Blood Tribe. And, of course, the stuff you guys saw from them is not recent. It happened about a year or so ago. You send a group out there, of course, they would let it slip that they were actually Biden voters. Of course, people see the red stuff, of course, the swastikas and whatnot. And all because the mainstream media has already primed these people to already think a certain way about a certain voting group, which, of course, this is what the media is designed to do. It's the enemy of the people. And we'll be talking about the media a little bit more in video number 3 tomorrow. I decided to go ahead and put 3 of them up. And, of course, they'll be made tomorrow morning. But the point is this right here. They get people thinking these people are all a bunch of Trump voters. And, of course, the same thing with Patriot Front. Yet it's pretty daggone obvious that these are all a bunch of feds. My thinking is that these people are designed to look like feds, or they're designed to be exposed as feds. It's designed to be a bad psyop for a reason, because there's probably a real true psyop or a real true group somewhere behind it that does in fact plan on causing some kind of problems. I'm going to link this video right here from Glenn Beck in the description box. I advise you guys watch it. I planned on doing a video on it. Of course, it talks about color revolutions. And of course, if you're from Eastern Europe, you probably know about it, especially if you're from Ukraine. What I'm trying to say is this right here. I think that all these groups have shown up now to kind of implant in people's minds, also to go ahead and kind of assert the narrative, the whole white supremacy narrative, but also at the same time, it's so blatantly obvious that these people are not exactly good at what they do, and they're very, very easily sniffed out, that I think it's by design. I also think this administration is obviously failing on purpose, and a big part of me is starting to think that maybe they're trying to lose on purpose to assert another narrative later on. I'll cover that in another video. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but I believe that the real reason why a group like Patriot Front is back is because they're designed to be looked at and be laughed at to catch people off guard. So that way, the real, true, bad group that actually wants to harm America, the one that's actually serious about things, they're probably somewhere behind, probably another incarnation of Antifa. But then again, though, at the same time, though, like I said, that's probably another conversation for another day. So, yes, I think that Patriot Front is intentionally showing you that they are a psyop, probably as a cover for another group. Sounds crazy, but that's just my own personal theory. But you guys tell me what you think in the comment section. Now, there's going to be a third video released later on in the evening. If you guys saw the first video, chances are you already know there was an updates video. And, of course, I said that I was going to start releasing videos a little bit later. I decided to go ahead and throw 3 videos up there to kind of catch up on things for Monday. Obviously, the weekend went the way the weekend does, a little bit busy. And hopefully you guys had a safe weekend yourself. It was 4th of July weekend. But still, that video will be, those videos will obviously be out tomorrow to go along with this one here. But tell me what you guys think. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe. Please share the video. Please sign up in the comment section. And I'll see you guys later.